Let's talk about the NBA. Okay, so as you can see, that is an NBA Summer League game. The NBA offseason, despite it only being in its first day, is already in full swing. What have we learned from the first day of the free agency is that this is going to be a good offseason. So strap yourselves in and let's get ready for this. The first thing I want to talk about is Paul George. So, as we all know by now, Paul George was traded last night in exchange for Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis to the Oklahoma City Thunder. He was traded there in hopes for OKC that they could make a super team. And basically looking at the West right now, you got the CP3 trade to the Rockets. It's looking like nobody's really going to be competing in that conference with the Warriors, despite many super teams being formed. Now, do I think that the Thunder will improve from that trade? Yes, of course I do. Because you add an all-star level talent, and you're bound to be able to compete when you have the MVP on your team. So, I do think this is a good trade for the Thunder, but I think it would be better if they were in the Eastern Conference. Another interesting thing that's happened recently is the Chris Paul trade. Now, Chris Paul had a player option this offseason. He decided to accept his player option, and, well, that was after the trade, which gave the Clippers some assets, which was a classy move by him. He could have declined it and just gotten a big payday from the Rockets. Instead, he accepted it, is going to the Rockets for 1 year, and from there we'll see what happens. So, on the topic of the Clippers, they just signed Blake Griffin back to a 5-year max contract. That 5th year is really the X factor. He was really going to meet with the Suns, was going to be his first team that he was going to meet with. And, of course, he never met with them. So, now you got Chris Paul on the Rockets, DeAndre still on the team, and Blake Griffin locked up as your future, basically. Despite him coming into the league in 2009, and obviously he's aging, so by the end of his contract, he'll be, 33? So, maybe the Clippers are trying to rebuild, maybe they're still trying to make the playoffs, but right now I don't think they should be trying to make the playoffs, because, frankly, nobody's going to compete with the Warriors unless something crazy happens in the West. You can have Chris Paul and James Harden on the same team, but they aren't going to compete because you still got Steph Curry, the 2-time MVP, Klay Thompson, a top 10 shooter of all time probably, Kevin Durant, the Finals MVP and a former MVP just 3 years ago, and then Draymond Green, Defensive Player of the Year, who is looking better than ever, and then whoever you run at center, Steven Adams, is not going to carry your team to beat the Warriors. So basically what I think needs to happen is somebody in the East needs to build up. Now, obviously the Cavs can't do that anymore because, well, Paul George is in OKC now. But if they were to sign Melo after a buyout, then maybe something could happen with that. That team could be Kyrie, Iman Shumpert maybe at shooting guard, LeBron or Melo at 3 and the 4. And then if you want to have a stretch, Love at the 5, or you could just put Melo at the 2. You could run a big lineup with that. The other team in the East that could make a splash this free agency is Boston. Obviously, they have Isaiah Thomas, they have Al Horford, they have assets, they could trade for somebody, and what they need to do immediately, sign Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward will do wonders for that team and will help them out greatly, and could lead them to an NBA Finals. Think about that with Isaiah Thomas and Gordon Hayward, Avery Bradley, Al Horford all in the same team. It might not be as good as the Cavs, and it definitely is not as good as the Warriors, but maybe we won't see a four-time matchup between the Cavs and Warriors, and maybe we'll see something interesting. See, they could have traded for Paul George, but they left that on the table. They were offered many trades and declined them all, so now they have to sign Gordon Hayward if they want to make a splash. They still have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown to develop for their future. Still the Nets pick this season. So, obviously their future is looking great, and their current day just needs to improve. Going back to Chris Paul. So, Chris Paul got traded, and he obviously was not happy with the Clippers. We all know by now, the Clippers got Jerry West this offseason, and that was probably their best offseason pickup, because Jerry West did wonders for the Warriors, and now he's coming to LA for the Clippers. So, what happened, if you don't know by now, Austin Rivers is the son of Doc Rivers, the coach and the president of, well, I don't know if he's the president, he's the GM of the Clippers. So he was making all the moves. He was deciding who gets traded, who goes where, who gets the minutes. And Chris Paul was unhappy. He was unhappy with Blake Griffin. And then he got unhappy with Doc Rivers because he was playing Austin Rivers too much. And mid-season at the trade deadline, there was a trade that surfaced. There was Jamal Crawford and Austin Rivers in exchange for Carmelo Anthony. Now, he declined that, frankly, because he did not want to give up his own son. And that could have cost the Clippers a lot. You know, there were some injuries, but there could have been less injuries in the playoffs because there wouldn't have been as much of a load on Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan and Chris Paul. And so Chris Paul was getting really frustrated, and this was basically a last-minute decision by the Clippers to try and get something out of Chris Paul before he just left and declined his player option. So now, at least they got Patrick Beverley, Lou Williams, a first-round pick, Sam Decker, I don't know what else there was in that trade, but I think it could be good for either team depending on what turns out of it. I mean, it's not a bad starting five to have Patrick Beverley, Lou Williams, whoever they're going to find for their small forward, maybe Rudy Gay in free agency, Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan, but is that really a lineup in the West that's going to do anything? At least they signed Blake Griffin and didn't get nothing from him. And DeAndre Jordan, everybody was thinking they were going to trade. There were trade rumors to the Nuggets. There were trade rumors to the Suns for the draft. They wanted a pick for him, just like the Spurs were rumored to want a pick for LaMarcus Aldridge, which they ultimately didn't end up getting. But who knows? Maybe the Clippers will surprise a lot of people. So, anyways, that's going to be it. This is a solo video, and there's going to be more videos to come. There's going to be a video of me, Cameron, Ty, and Brady, probably, that we're making tomorrow, which is Sunday, and we don't know when we're going to release it. I'm guessing this will be released on Saturday. Follow us on Twitter, Starting5YT. Subscribe, turn on post notifications, like, and comment your thoughts. Tell me things that you want me to make a video on in the future, and thanks for watching. Peace.